You ready? Just make sure you're honest. So here we go. Here I see that this angle is across that side. So you should recognize that you have a known pair. And this angle is across from that side, which we don't care about. But we've got these two angles, which will allow us to solve for angle P. So angle P, if you subtract, you get 52 degrees. Okay, so we can actually go 52, and that will allow us to solve for this. So if you have angle P, we give you a mark for that. So we're going to go sine of 56 over 60, and then it's sine of 52 over P. Okay, so P is will be multiply. We will multiply and divide. I need to see this. So you get a mark for correct setup already, by the way, and then the correct final answer, which is 57.03 centimeters. Okay. So you get another mark for that. So 1 mark for the 52, 1 mark for setup, 1 mark for work, and correct final answer. Then I asked you to do this one here. This is a side, 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 right? That's definitely cosine law. We're asking for this angle right here. That's what we're wondering. So let me set this up. I will do that underneath here. Cosine of angle Y. I will make sure that the side across from that angle is at the back here. And then the other two is 11.3 squared, 9.9 squared fills in the rest. And then it's 2 times 11.3 times 9.9. Okay, so this is all multiplying. These two sides basically show up again. You get a mark for that. Okay. Then if you do the top, you get negative 142.94 and 223.74. So this is part of your work. Angle Y is cosine inverse of what you get when you divide. And that would be 129.71 is the answer to B. You get another mark for, you know what, I think I will make this worth 3 marks as well. I need to see that negative there. Okay, and then 1 mark for the work and the correct final answer. So 3 and 3, that's 6 for the first, right? 6 for question 1. So we'll have a subtotal of 6. Okay. Next we'll do this one. It all started right here. Okay. We know that this is 120 because we've got a 180 situation right there. This adds up to 160, which means that this is 20. Ultimately, it wants this. How high above the ground is the gargoyle, right? So this is what the question is really asking for ultimately, but we can't do that right away, not in one shot. Notice that the side is given of this triangle here. So my strategy is gonna be to solve for that one that is shared, and then I will move into this triangle. So I will call this Y for now. And watch this. It's hard to see, but that 20 degree is across the 20 side. That's your pair. So I'm going to go sine of 20. Hold on. You get a mark for these two angles showing up there. So you get a mark for the 120 for sure. Okay. Then it's sine of 20 over side 20. We know it's sine law because we have a pair. Then it's sine of 40 over y. I don't care if you solve for this one or this one. I don't care. Both of them will work. Okay. But y, if you do the work, if you cross multiply and divide, y gives you 30. Hold on one second. 3759. Look at the mark allocation. So 1 mark for the 120, 1 mark for using sine law, and 1 mark for solving accordingly. If you miss the 120, I would take off a full mark, but I will still honor the work that follows it. So let's say you got that wrong, therefore this angle is wrong. You lose a mark, but you still get what follows. Okay, now watch what I'm going to do here. For those of you that are copying, or if you want to copy, now I'm going to quickly sketch this triangle here. This is 3759. This is 60 degrees here. I can find out what this one is up top, but I don't really care about it. I have my pair here. This 60 is going to allow me to solve for what's across. So sine of 90 is equal to sine of 60 over x. X is going to be cross multiplying and divide. I'm not going to do that right now just because of time constraints. And that's 3255. This is your final answer. Hold on, I've got to do marks here. 1 for setup, 1 for mark. The 1 for the final answer, sorry. So get rid of this 3. The 3 has nothing to do with this question right now. So we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 marks for this question. You're the teacher today. I'm not going to argue with you. Just give yourselves a mark out of 5. In my books, okay, if you mess up here, but if I can follow what you're doing, technically you still get 4 out of 5 according to the province. Okay? If you just make a mistake at the beginning, we still follow through. So I would check if your answers are good, are correct thereafter. Okay? So it's not necessarily a 0 or half, it's actually way more than that. Okay? So this page is worth 11. So if you're keeping track of the page, somewhere at the bottom, just give yourselves a subtotal of 11 already. And now we're going to the back side. I'm going to hand these all back to you later on. Okay, remember that. So put notes down, add notes. Okay, so here we've got a 90 at this corner. So that means that this is 48. So you get a mark for 48 degrees, by the way. That's an important concept. And we've got a side angle side. It's like how far is Meg from the boater? So we're going to go with side X here. Okay, I'm going to call this X. So side angle side. I need to use cosine law. So x squared is going to be equal to these two sides squared minus 2 times 3.2 times 5.8 times cosine of 48. If you miss the 48, you lose a mark. But so technically you would have used 42 here. You still get the mark for this setup. So 1 mark for the setup, then a mark for solving. So you type all of this in, you get 39,041, and that keeps going. That's 4.36 kilometers. Probably close to that if you use 42, but you're still going to lose a full mark for that. So 1 mark setup, 1 mark correct final answer, 1 mark for the 48. So if all you have is the 48, 1 out of 3. Right? If you miss that, you have everything else. There's a cosine of 42 at the end. You get 2 out of 3. I would expect this to be less. Right? This would be less. Okay, next. What is the angle at Meg's location? Like this angle right here. M, right? So how would you do that? You've got two options now. Yeah. $90? This? Oh yeah. It is, I have it crossed out somewhat and scribbled over, so it's kind of hard to see. So this is a 1, my bad. But this is still good, right? The 4, yeah, okay. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, keep going. So this is the angle we're interested in. So you have choices. Interesting when you have choices, right? Sometimes too many choices, it may overwhelm you, but you technically, if you have this 48 here, you have a pair, you could use 3.2 to solve for this angle, which we call M. You could use sine law, or side, side, side. We could use that, whichever one you want. So I'm going to just show you what the answer is for this one. I'll use sine law because I haven't done this in a while. I will use sine law, okay? So sine of 48 over 4.36. And this would be sine M, this over 3.2. You've got to be careful here. This 3.2, right? We cross multiply. Or divided by 4.36. This would be 0.5454. Angle M is sine inverse of 0.5454, which is 33.05 degrees. So you get a mark for setup, a mark for final answer. If you use cosine law, I'm just going to give you the answer. Your answer is slightly different, but it's okay. You're going to get 33.01 as opposed to 05, and that's fine. Okay, that's just because of the rounding. We rounded that one side 4.36 at one point, and that affects this, okay? And that's why there's a discrepancy. So worth 2 marks, right? So far, let's do a subtotal here. 3 and 2. If this is all you got, right, it's out of 5. And then you possibly get 2 bonus marks. So here the key was to solve for this top angle because you've got the 2 bottom ones. That's 70 degrees. So then it's sine of 70 over 250. How far are Mariah and Kumar from the bird? So for Mariah, I'm going to call that X, and Kumar, I'm going to call that Y. Okay, so if I'm solving for this, it would be sine of 78 over X. If you solve that, you get 260.23. If you solve for Y, you would use sine of 32 to solve for Y. And that would give you 140.98. And we are in meters, right? If you got this, I'll give you 1 bonus mark for each. So +1 if you got that far, +1 if you got this far. So give yourselves a mark out of 5. If you ace this, and then you did the bonus on top, you get 7 out of 5, right? That's how bonus works. So anyways, 5 and 11, that would make this 16 total, potentially 18 out of 16. 16. So put your name and last name on there.